starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Now, what's important to understand about the case that we're going to be delivering today is it's going to be fundamentally very simple. Let me just explain to you, right? We oppose Kenya's involvement in Haiti due to the fact that it addresses none of the issues facing the nation, leading to public distrust in the government, right? Let me just characterize what is the most pressing issues in Kenya, right? The motion asks what is best for Kenya. To do this, we have to look at the central problem facing a majority of citizens within the nation. This looks like economic instability characterized by increase in inflation, shortage of key crops, increase in unemployment rates, and increased interest rates, which means the lower rates of disposable income. People aren't spending. The economy is kind of in the gutter right now, right? So now, this is most important because they are what most necessarily impacts every single Kenyan in the street, right? If you go and ask any individual in the street, right, any individual Kenyan in the street, what necessarily most impacts them, they're going to say the economy. They're not going to say what's happening in Haiti. So our burden is not to prove how we solve this problem, this economic problem. Ours is to show how op policy shifts national resources away from the problems making them fundamentally worse. Let me just use a historical comparative of the impact that Kenya had at the point in which it went into Somalia, right? There was basically zero benefits to Kenya, right? As opposed to just getting a pat on the back by the West, right? Here's why we think that Kenya should not retreat, or should retreat from this conflict. Number one, misallocation of resources and national focus. This is true because Gov is choosing to input, this government, Kenyan government, is choosing to input itself in foreign conflicts as opposed to solving the pressing issues of the nation, which are fundamentally economical. Now, we understand that this is not OP's burden to solve the economic issues of Kenya, but in the worst case scenario, we prefer a world where the Kenyan government does absolutely nothing. Because if they intervene, it proves to the public that they have the resources but are choosing to waste it on issues unimportant to the Kenyan civilian, right? So we prefer a world where the Kenyan government does absolutely nothing, because the regular civilian just think that means that the Kenyan government doesn't have any resources. But at the point in which it chooses to implant itself into a foreign conflict, it means that they did have the resources, but they choose to put it in an issue that necessarily is not going to affect the average Kenyan civilian, right? So what are the impacts of this? Number one, increase in distrust from the government. This looks like more civilian protests due to using government venture because populace believe that the government is not working for their best interest. Number two, lack of cooperation with opposition parties, because now they see an incentive to tap into popular hatred for the ruling party. What does this look like? At the point in which necessarily you're an opposition party and the party in power is fundamentally unpopular with the Kenyan populace, you as an opposition party will see a benefit to lining with this opposition that exists within the nation and literally oppose everything that the ruling party does. What does this do? Kenya will be putting more and more into this nation and it will do nothing. My partner will characterize the history of coups and civil unrest that exists within Haiti over the past literally 3 centuries, right? It is shown that there's zero sovereignty in the point in which any foreign nation chooses to actually intervene within this nation. There will literally Kenya will be wasting its precious resources and its precious, will that the people necessarily have and the trust that people have within the government for something that literally gonna bring zero benefits to the people and the government and the nation as a whole. With that, I rest my case.
We thank that.